I think the most common questions human beings ask one another are, the way I'm phrasing this already sounds like some kind of alien who's studying our species, but I think the most common questions people ever get asked are, what are your favorite or least favorite somethings? Or what's the best or worst blank? Example, what's your favorite food? What's your least favorite movie? What's the worst date you've been on? What's the best note you can hit when singing? For me, it's this. That kind of thing. It's a super common question everybody asks someone new that they're meeting for the first time, but it's a question that I feel 99% of people don't have an answer to, because it's pretty difficult to choose one answer to those questions, because it's not something you really think about. But I am not 99% of people. Sheep. I am 99% gamer. So I've always tried to come up with an answer to every conceivable question that goes in this format, and last night on stream, chat asked me, what is the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life? And I didn't even have to think hard about it because I already knew. The worst pain I've ever experienced in my life was a urethral swab at like a standard STD checkup at my urologist. An STD checkup I didn't need, mind you. I wasn't down there sporting anything alarming, but I got it just because he asked. And being a hypochondriac, anytime I'm asked to do like testing or whatever, I just give it a big ol' thumbs up and say, let's run it. And what a mistake that was. He informed me that it was going to be a urethral swab for this procedure, and this being my first time doing an STD check, I thought it was standard protocol, and in my head I pictured that it'd just be like a really tiny doohickey that he'd stick into the tip of my wiener hole and pull it out, and that'd be that. But my worst nightmares couldn't have prepared me for the gizmo he brought out. It wasn't small. This man armed himself with a medieval pike with a cotton ball on the end. And I knew right away this was going to turn into something so much worse than I could have possibly envisioned. I talked about it on stream as well as another similar experience, so I'll go ahead and play those clips. But it really is horrible, so I want to front load this by letting you know, never do a urethral swab under any circumstances. My voice is cracking out of fear just reminiscing on this. I swear to God, he brought out like a fucking train spike to shove down there. Like, he basically got out like a wooden spike, like he was trying to drive it through the heart of a vampire through my cock. It was brutal. And I think it did cause like serious damage. What's the worst injury you've ever had? Thanks, Resubsagi. You're gonna think I'm memeing, but I'm being super serious. I made a whole video on this. I got a urethral swab, and it is probably still to date one of the worst pains I've ever felt. I went to a urologist for just like a general checkup thing, and for some reason he decided to administer a urethral swab, and I had never felt such excruciating agony. Didn't you say you had a wet dream right after the urethral swab too? It's been so long now, I can't remember if I had a wet dream. I think I did. Because I vaguely do remember coming and it being really bad from it. But I can't remember if I, like, jerked or if I had a wet dream. It's been too long now. But the thing is, like, he put it in and then he, like, swishes it around. Just, like, tearing it up to cause maximum damage. And then I was just bleeding for days. I had to call in a prescription for some kind of, like, penile injury thing. Why didn't you request a female doctor, or did you not care? From my urologist? What am I that's the creepiest thing ever. Excuse me. Can you please fetch a woman for this? I'd like to show her my package during this examination. Of course I wouldn't fucking do that. No. And I hope you don't do that. Excuse me. Can you get a nurse to come swab my penis with her mouth? Yeah, that's... I don't... Have you never been to a urologist? It's not like porn, man. You're there for a purpose. Did you ask your doctor why he was spelunking in your junk? No, I went home in pain. I never went back. After he urethral swabbed me, I went to another urologist the next time I needed to go somewhere for it. Anywhere but there. He's a recent boss. I even looked it up, and this was 7 years ago, mind you, and even at the time, they're like, urethral swabs are obsolete. Nobody does these anymore. If anyone suggests it, you can just decline. No one should be suggesting it. Like, it's so outdated. And yet, this guy annihilated me with it. It was so bad. I don't remember if I said this in the story I made on it 7 years ago. It was so bad that I was afraid of peeing. So what I did is I went to Publix, fucking bloody trousered because my wiener wouldn't stop bleeding, and I bought an entire box of salted pumpkin seeds because it was the highest salt content thing I could find, and I just hammered pumpkin seeds all night so that way I wouldn't pee, because when I did, it was horrible. Horrible. Bro, you got griefed. No, for sure though. Like, again, even 7 years ago, that was obsolete. Sounding is not for me. Yeah, I learned that day. That is not my kink. What's wild is, I even made a video on this. What did I call it? I think I called it Urethral Swab 2.0. What's wild is, only like a year and a half after my initial urethral swab, I ended up going to a different urologist, and they recommended me getting a cystoscopy. I think they were looking for like a kidney stone or something, and a cystoscopy is basically shoving like a long wire with a camera at the end through your urethra to get like a better look at your bladder. So, while I still had like the trauma from this still being like moderately fresh, I then went in there to the cystoscopy, not really knowing that's what it was at the time. And then he's got this like giant apparatus with this cord, and I'm like, oh no, it's happening again. And he just right in my wiener. But it had a steering wheel. So he even had the monitor set up so I could like watch it. And I was like, I'm not gonna really tune into this program that much, I'm gonna be honest with you, Doc. But he had like the steering wheel to like control it while I was inside. And he's just driving my my cock as he's looking around internally. And that didn't hurt nearly as bad or bleed nearly as bad as just this urethral swab. And they wasn't even close. This was still so much fucking worse. Bro, what did he even use? It sounds like you make it sound like he was diving around with a sandpaper wrapped fondue fork. It wasn't even like what he used wasn't soft. He used like a hard plastic thing with like a bit of cotton on the end, and then just fucking jamming it all around like he was trying to kill me with it. He was sim racing inside your penis. Yeah, no, man was straight up fucking multi-track drifting in there. It was a really cool device. Let me see if I can find it, because it actually was like a steering wheel from the cord. So I was like watching him like, you know, do some of this. It was wild. I definitely can't pull any of this up on stream. But yeah, it was one of these right here. I guess it's not so much a steering wheel per se, because it doesn't have handles on both sides. Well, no, it does. He had the gamer version. That's true. He was probably on the Logitech cystoscopy tube cord. You had a whole episode of Magic School Bus. Yeah. Moral of the story, though, don't get a urethral swab. Wow, I struggle with that word a lot. The cystoscopy wasn't too bad. That was discomfort for a little while. This was misery for days. I don't think many of you are like scratching at your neck ready to set up a urethral swab appointment, but just in case you were. You should have asked for your turn in the wheel. I remember at the time, I don't remember who said it, but they said I should ask for the footage to make a video out of it. And I was like, that's kind of a fire idea. Let me take you inside my bladder. Did you leave a bad review for your old urologist? No. I've never left a bad review for anything in my life except for one time when I was in middle school. I left a bad review for an Xbox 360 game I got, and I was so mad I posted on the GameSpot or on the GameStop website. Left it a bad review. What game? What was it called? It was called like Agent Monster Mayhem or something. It was not a popular game at all. I remember the box art had like a lot of like characters on it. I think it was a party game for the 360. It was early into the 360 too. It was very early.
For the on-screen.
Oh, it was this.
Ah, perfection.
Move by tilting the left stick. Turn.
Yeah, I hated this game. This is the only thing I've ever left a bad review on in my life. Do you think your review is still online, and could you find it? Let's see. I'd know it if I saw it, but I don't think GameStop does reviews on their site anymore. I remember I said... I used profanity, so maybe they deleted it, because I remember I said, like, the game sucked shit. How is it so bad? I don't know, I just remember hating it. I couldn't even remember the game's name. I don't know what made it so bad, but I really thought it was trash. I don't know how many of you know this, but I actually have really bad motion sickness. If I ride in the passenger seat of a car for more than 5 minutes, I get a tummy ache, I start feeling yucky, like I want to puke. If I bend down to pick up like a dog toy too quickly, I'll get immediately sick. Like, my motion sickness is awful. But I wasn't always such a weak, fragile, tarnished specimen that I am today. And it's not something that just developed naturally. We all understand that aging is cringe. There's nothing more embarrassing than getting older. Because as you get older, things just start breaking down, shit doesn't work the way it used to, you know, it sucks. But I didn't develop motion sickness just because I started to become like a geriatric old man or anything. I can trace back the day I developed motion sickness, a day that changed my life. It was a day spent at a theme park with a friend of mine named Andrew. A friend that you probably know from YouTube as Hugbees of How It's Actually Made fame. Him and I have been friends for about a decade now, and back when I was around 18 or 19, we decided we'd have a little fun out in the sun for a day, and we took a trip to Busch Gardens, Tampa, Florida. For those that don't know, Busch Gardens is an amusement park, kind of like Universal Studios or Disney World. It's just like a giant theme park with roller coasters and shit. But the theme is Florida Man. And it's a pretty fun park, actually. I used to love Busch Gardens. They had all kinds of like weird and wacky foods back in the day. And I used the term food lightly. There was one spot in there that would sell basically just fried grease. Just like actual fried motor oil. So you just take a bite and it was just nothing but oil and grease that just blew up your mouth. I used to love that kind of shit, just little grease pops or whatever. Just a scrumptious little treat. One time I even saw a dude full-blown cranking his hog in the parking lot, just really jerking his meat, pretty tough out there. So Busch Gardens could get wild, but it was a park I always enjoyed going to, but the main appeal of Busch Gardens was roller coasters, as well as animals, because it kind of like doubled as a zoo. They had a lot of animals there, so there was a lot to do. It was a very interesting theme park. It still exists, I just don't go anymore. We'll get to that in a second, but the thing is, the main appeal of the park was thrill-seeking. It had some really cool roller coasters, especially for its size. Busch Gardens isn't like massive or anything, at least not compared to the big boys. It's a pretty small, relatively speaking, amusement park, but it had some dope-ass roller coasters, and I was an adrenaline junkie when I was younger. I used to love roller coasters. I used to think that shit was amazing. They had one at Busch Gardens called Montu, where it had you going like 90 miles per hour the entire time. Felt like you were traveling through different dimensions. Felt like I was Barry Allen about to turn back the clock on the world, going backwards in time. It was nuts. It was so fast, and I loved it. I used to be a huge roller coaster guy, and Andrew was too. And so when we went to Busch Gardens, Andrew had this great idea of riding like every roller coaster there twice or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was riding every roller coaster there an absurd amount of times, which to me wasn't anything uncommon because I'd done that before. Busch Gardens never really had huge lines or anything. It was never like Disney World where things had a 40-50 minute wait. You could usually just line up and be on the ride within 10 minutes. So I used to ride roller coasters multiple times. Like SheiKra was their big one. It has like 90-degree drop and you just go straight to hell. It had a lot of big roller coasters and I'd ride them multiple times in a trip. So when Andrew pitched this idea of like, let's go absolutely fucking Insano style, let's get outrageous today with the amount of roller coasters we were going to do, I was like, hey, I'm gung-ho, I'm down, let's get crazy, let's get wacky. Little did I know that decision was going to change my life forever. So it's about 3 hours into the day, we've rode a ton of roller coasters and we're still planning to ride more. And I, at this point, had never really experienced bad motion sickness. Occasionally, I would get, like, sick in a long trip in the car or something if I was trying to, like, read a book or whatever. But I never actually got motion sickness. And around this time, like, my stomach was feeling a little weird, so we got some food in order to try and, like, settle my stomach. didn't really do much, but I didn't want to ruin the day, so we kept riding roller coasters. It kept getting worse. But then we decided to ride the wooden roller coaster. I think it was called Gwazi. It was this roller coaster made out of the oldest wood imaginable. I wouldn't be surprised if it was wood used on Davy Jones' ship back in the fucking 1400s or whatever. Just like this old driftwood, they made a roller coaster out of it, and it was cool. You definitely felt that sense of danger, like anything could happen. It could collapse at any moment. That shit looked like plank from Ed, Edd n Eddy. It wasn't like high quality wood. It was terrifying, but I liked the ride. Andrew liked the ride, and we rode it, I think, once or twice. I don't remember. But after riding it at either the second time or it might have even been the first time now, I don't remember, I got so unbelievably sick. I was stumbling out of the roller coaster exit. I didn't puke or anything. I couldn't puke. My body wouldn't let me. It was holding on to like any bit of nutrient or anything that it could. I was stumbling, falling over myself, like slurring my speech, telling Andrew like something's wrong here. And Andrew's like, no, I'll tell you what's wrong. It's called you being a pussy. We still have to ride Scorpion next. So I was like, yeah, he's probably right. That's probably what it is. I'm just suffering from a bit of sore butthole from being a sad piece of shit. So I was like, I was just following him the best I could, the Scorpion, while I'm very much struggling to keep my balance. We finally make it to Scorpion, which is another roller coaster. It's a really small one. It's like a 45-second roller coaster at most. And I was like, I can do it. I can muscle through this. So we're walking towards the entrance, and I fucking collapse. I fall to the ground onto my knees, and I'm fucking delirious from how sick I feel. Andrew was like mad at me. He's like, Charlie, you're ruining my day. What are you doing? Stop with this tomfoolery. This is childish. Pick yourself up. We got a roller coaster to ride. And I am struggling. I told him to like just ride it without me. Like, don't let me ruin your day. Go have some fun or whatever. And he's like, okay, I'll go ride it myself. So Andrew just fucking leaves me there on the actual pavement outside of a gift shop near Scorpion. I didn't make it all the way to the entrance. There's like a little gift shop on the way. And I'm just lying there, literally, like, almost face down. I'm on my knees, hunched over, and no one's even stopping to check on me. I'm sure employees could see me. I'm right outside of a gift shop. I am over there, like, clinging to life the best I can. The world is spinning. I am absolutely having a rough go of it. And I eventually do lay down, like, full-blown just lay down out there on the pavement, and I took a nap. I don't think I like blacked out or fainted or anything because I distinctly remember like putting my arm out and like laying down and going to sleep, hoping that when I wake up, Andrew would be off the coaster and I'd be feeling better. So I take a nap. I just KO for like, I don't know, however long it took Andrew to get there, maybe like 10 minutes. He wakes me up, probably thinking I was a corpse at this point, but no one even bothered to check. I mean, I guess it is Florida, so you shouldn't be surprised to see corpses just on the side of the road and I guess in amusement parks, because no one bothered to look after me or make sure I was okay. So I'm just laying there. Andrew wakes me up, and luckily I did feel a little bit better, and he had enough of his roller coaster rides for the day. He's like, okay, we can just go now. So we left, and later that night I started feeling better, but what happened as a result was a lifelong change. I developed severe motion sickness from that. I never really had bad motion sickness before that day, but afterwards, I got it bad and still do have it bad. I can't ride roller coasters anymore at all. I can't even ride like the kiddie coasters. I get sick if I try and like skateboard a little too fast or like try and do like quick movements on the basketball court or something. I'll make myself really dizzy and feel yucky. Like I said, riding in a car for like more than 5 minutes as a passenger, I get sick feeling. Driving doesn't really trigger it for me, but when I'm a passenger in the front or back, I just start to get sick just when we're moving for too long. And all because of one day at an amusement park where a friend of mine and I decided we're going to ride a lot of roller coasters and go crazy. So yeah, I just wanted to share this story because I recently got reminded of it by Andrew. He brings it up like once every year, just like, hey Charlie, remember when we went to Busch Gardens that one time? Now you can't ride roller coasters anymore? Yeah, it kind of fucking sucks, doesn't it? I was actually riding a roller coaster like 2 months ago. Yeah, you would have loved it. So he brings it up occasionally and it reminds me, and I just thought I'll share the whole story here. And maybe someone can learn something from it. Like, hey, don't push yourself too hard, right? You don't want to go too hard in the paint. Maybe just, play it a bit easy. Listen to your body. Nature will tell you what needs to be done. Maybe you don't need to ride a roller coaster 100 times in a day. So yeah, that's about it. See ya. The title isn't clickbait. I actually left my house today. I left my sacred dojo of Greece today for the first time in a few months, and I hated it. It was an absolute fucking disaster. It's like when the groundhog pops out of his hole and sees his shadow signaling a couple more weeks of winter. That's what it was like for me. I came out of my little hole here and I saw something far more terrifying than a shadow, which means a couple more months of me staying inside. Now let me clarify, when I say first time leaving my house, I mean first time going somewhere. Like, I've stepped outside into my backyard with the dogs to take them out and shit, so I've been readjusted to the sun, kind of, so the sun and I are no longer enemies. It took like a month of work just to get to that point, though. Like, I didn't go outside at all, even the backyard, for a full month just because I'm a bit of a hypochondriac, and I wasn't entirely convinced I could trust the air outside. Could have virus particles in it, and I just wasn't taking the chance, but after a month, I did wander outside, and I swear to God, I thought I was going to die of vitamin D overdose. I felt like it was about to be that scene from Indiana Jones when they open the Ark of the Covenant and everyone's skin is melting off of their fucking bones. That's what it felt like first time seeing the sun, but since then, I've become reacclimated to it, so the sun and I are no longer enemies. So, going somewhere today, the sun wasn't the problem. It was just everything else about the adventure here. So my journey wasn't like a noble expedition or anything. I didn't leave my house to go put out a fire nearby or save a kitten from a tree. The reason I left my house was to go to a Walmart. And the reason I was going to a Walmart is because I wanted to look at their As Seen on TV products, because I was hoping I could find some Nick Bolton originals, like the tack shaver, the tack lantern, the tack glasses, and really put them to the test. I just kind of had that itch to try out more As Seen on TV products, because it's been a while since I've done that, and I knew Walmart carried them. And you know, for As Seen on TV products, I decided, you know what? It's worth the risk. I'll make this journey for this. Just like Moses, I decided I was going to climb this mountain and get the 10 Commandments and bring them back down for the people to enjoy. But instead of 10 Commandments, what I was getting from the top of the mountain was tactical shaving devices and tactical glasses and shit. So not quite as cool as 10 Commandments, but still something that I felt was very important. And now, I decided to look it up. The last time I even started my car was March 15th, and I know that because the last time I left my house to go somewhere was March 15th to go see the movie The Hunt. And from then until today, my car hadn't been started a single time. It's gotten no exercise, shit's getting out of shape, and it just overall not feeling very well. I'm actually surprised it even started today at all. It's just been waiting for over 2 months now just for any amount of action that wasn't coming. And then today I said, you know what, you're off the bench, let's get you in the starting lineup, and they answered the call. My car started up with no problems, I threw on my mask, and I was ready to rumble. The trip to Walmart was pretty odd because there were so many cars on the road. I was led to believe that it was going to be like a ghost town if I went outside, like fucking going through Chernobyl, but that wasn't the case. The traffic was the same as I remembered it so long ago the last time I ventured outside. So I feel like nothing has really changed outside in society except for me not being a part of it anymore, which made me feel kind of like an outcast, like that kid that sits alone at the middle school lunch table. But that was the first thing I noticed. When I actually got to Walmart, things were very different there. They had it like caution taped off as if it was a crime scene with a chalk outline on the ground from a murder that happened over Yu-Gi-Oh cards or something. It looked really intense and intimidating. They had like 5 kiosks outside. I don't know what the little stands were for. I didn't want to have any like actual close contact with a human being. I wanted to avoid my own species as much as possible, so I didn't investigate. I really can't imagine. Maybe they were selling like fucking lollipops or something, or maybe it was the Girl Scouts, the parents or some shit selling, I don't know. But there was a bunch of little kiosks outside that I have no idea what purpose they served. Almost everyone was wearing a mask, which made me feel like I was back in my college freshman year going to a rave where everyone used to wear these masks with little skulls on them. There's also just a really good handful of people that weren't wearing a mask, which I found odd because the people that weren't wearing a mask were the people that I felt really should, or most likely at least would consider, because they were all predominantly older people, and then a couple people that looked like they were on some kind of alcoholic binge and like stumbling over themselves. So I felt like the people that weren't wearing a mask were the people that really should have at least thought about it, but I mean, I'm not their parents, they can make their own decisions. I just thought that was something interesting. It was when I finally got into the Walmart where things really started to go south for this whole adventure here that I'd chosen to go on. So going inside is when things really opened up. I immediately made my way to the As Seen on TV products stand, I suppose, and I didn't find any tack devices. Not a single Nick Bolton certified tactical tool, and I searched multiple times. I even went to the kids department. Not that I think Nick Bolton's tactical devices should be in the kids department, because these are tactical tools for tactical guys. They aren't children's toys. They're extremely dangerous for tactical situations. I mean, I swear to God, Nick Bolton's probably going to be selling tactical C4 just in case. So they shouldn't be in the kids department, but I wanted to make sure no stone was left unturned. I wanted to make sure that I checked everywhere thoroughly to find Nick Bolton's tactical devices. And it was when I went to the kids department that I saw my first little skirmish. There was two mothers, neither of which were wearing a mask, and they were getting into it a little bit. There was a verbal argument, which I love to hear. I do love public freakouts, and I kind of had an expectation going out today that there was going to be something like that just because everything I've seen online from it. And I was lucky enough to at least kind of encounter one. But in my head, it was a much bigger deal than it was. In reality, they were just kind of arguing about something. I don't know what. I don't know if they knew each other, but they were arguing. Maybe they were arguing about not being able to find Nick Bolton's devices. I have no idea. But since we were in the same aisle, I was right next to it. And to me, I was starting to panic. Like, my blood pressure was starting to skyrocket because I was like, fuck. They're arguing, there's going to be saliva flying all over the place. What if one of them's sick? Now I've put myself in between a bullet and a target because we're sharing the same row. So in my head, I'm hearing this argument and I'm just picturing like fight night, like in a boxing match, you know, in the movies where it's like a slow motion punch and their head turns and the sweat's flying all over the audience like it's SeaWorld in the Splash Zone. That's what I was picturing. So I was hurrying up my investigation because I started panicking, worried about this invisible enemy that could be coming my way down the aisle. And so I got the fuck out of there. I went back to the as seen on TV stand. I didn't see anything, so eventually I just said it's not here and I got out. So as I left the glorious Walmart limp-dicked and sad, I walked back to my car, and that's when the actual fucking disaster of the day happened. I got fucking swarmed. Well, swarmed is an exaggeration. There was a single wasp that tracked me from the Walmart to my car. It was like fucking stalking me, waiting to make a move on my wallet. So this wasp fucking attacked me when I was about to get in the car, and when I say attacked, it landed on my head and freaked the shit out of me. So I was freaking out, like slapping at my head, and then I accidentally slapped my own fucking mask off onto the goddamn ground, which now that's ruined. I can't ever touch that again, so I left that there. And I'm fucking battling this fucking wasp, getting into my car. Now I'm exposed to the outside elements. I've lost my radiation suit because my mask is on the ground. This wasp will not leave me the fuck alone. I can't get my car open because I keep fucking fumbling the unlock on my keys. So it was just a true upsetting time that made me feel like I had just been brutalized. The wasp must have sensed my weakness and it was shaking me down for my lunch money at the car. It was fucking mugging me right there in the Walmart parking lot. And that's when it really set in on me, like, this must have been a sign. Like, Charlie, you shouldn't be outside yet. Give it a little more time to marinate and then you can go outside later. This is me telling you, stay inside for now. And I took that at face value, so I will be staying inside again at least for a couple more weeks or something, because that wasp attack that fucking compromised my safety, that was enough for me to say, all right, that's probably enough. That's probably my one journey for the next month or so. So I'm back inside, and I just wanted to share with you my experience of my first time going back outside into society. And yeah, what a remarkable experience it was. I got nothing in return for it other than traumatized by a wasp. I really fucking hate wasps, always have. Wasps really suck ass, so fuck wasps. And yeah, that's about it. So yeah. What is the luckiest thing that can possibly happen to a person? I'm sure there's a legitimate, verified answer to this question using statistics and probability to calculate it. But hooey with that. Just like a Twitter user, I'm plugging my ears and I'm closing my eyes and I'm gonna make something up. I'm pulling something out of my ass. I'm making the assumption that the luckiest thing that can ever happen to you is winning the lottery. The odds of you taking home the jackpot in something like the Powerball are so unbelievably low. So teeny tiny, itty bitty, that it is incomprehensible to even imagine winning the lottery. I'm sure everyone's tried playing at least once or twice. It's never going to be a good idea to play the lottery, but it's just one of those things where you're sitting in the gas station, you're like, fuck it, I'll let it rip. Let's just see if all the stars have aligned. And I think the best I've ever done, my PB, is maybe 2 numbers that I got correct, which of course is nothing. Like, that's not even enough to get a government agent to spit in a cup and feed it to you. You get nothing for that. To get all of the numbers is just, it has to be one of the most unlikely things you can ever do. And that brings me to today's topic. A story that I've wanted to tell but just haven't yet. I told it on stream last night, so I'll play the clips from it. But I want to break it down because this is a story that defies all of the odds. And it involves a buddy of mine and his girlfriend and her mother. Now, many of you know I'm in a band, The Gentle Men. It is myself and my friend Troy from New Zealand. Troy does all of the music. I do the lyrics and vocals. And Troy also does vocals as well. We're responsible for some of the most iconic boner jams of the 21st century, things like 2019 Guy, which was the first of its kind, a cuck-core anthem, which has never been done before or done since, and then things like Skynut, 2004 Breakup, Your Boyfriend Doesn't Scare Me, most recently Filthy, which actually lost me a brand partnership because the song is such a banger. And point is, Troy is a good friend of mine as part of this music project that we're in, The Gentlemen. Quick side note, since I'm already on the topic, this is a question I've been getting asked a lot, so I'll briefly address it. We are making more songs. In fact, we have a new EP dropping within a month, probably a little less than a month now. So there is more The Gentlemen music on its way. Now, that wasn't relevant to the story at all, so let's get back to the story. Troy has a girlfriend, and his girlfriend's mother plays the lottery every single week. And recently, something miraculous happened. When is it story time? Okay, you know what? I'll tell you a little story. Lie down in your bed, I'll tuck you in, snug as a bug in a rug. So, Troy, the other half of the Gentlemen, our band, his girlfriend has a mother. She plays the lottery every week, and has played the lottery every week for, I think it was 20 years. She plays the same numbers every single week, and has done so for about 2 decades. Now, Troy and his girlfriend are in New Zealand. The mother is also in New Zealand. And for 20 years, she has played the New Zealand lottery with the same numbers. A month ago, those numbers came up. And Troy and his girlfriend lost their fucking mind. They went crazy celebrating. Holy shit, your mom just won millions. I don't know what the jackpot was, but millions. So his girlfriend calls her mom ecstatic, super happy. And it turns out her mom, in one of the very rare times that she does this, did not go get lottery tickets with those numbers because it was raining and she didn't want to make the trip. A legitimate once-in-a-lifetime opportunity missed because of a light drizzle. And Troy and I were talking about it. Troy said to me that he wouldn't be able to live with that guilt if it was him. He'd probably kill himself. And I said, same. I don't know how I would go on living knowing that the luckiest possible thing that could happen to you would have happened to you if you just followed the routine. But her mom took it like such a champ, such a fucking warrior, that she just said, guess it wasn't meant to be. And I believe she went back to playing the same numbers again, and is still currently playing every single week. Same numbers, even though they've already come up and will never come up again. It's like a story out of an anime. There's a little story for you. That's one I haven't told yet. Troy told me that about 3 weeks ago, and I was flabbergasted. I felt so bad. Like, I felt bad for them. The mom's totally fine with it, I guess. But, man, that was crushing just to hear. The real story will be when the numbers come up again and she wins. That'd be the good ending, but I really don't see that happening. Has there ever been a case where the same lottery numbers have come up more than once? Let me see. I'm going to look that up. Here's a crazy story from October. Same New York lottery numbers drawn twice in one day. Yeah, I don't see anything about repeat numbers. Like any data on it. I'm sure it's happened though. It has to have happened at some point. But the likelihood of that is super low. How much would it cost to buy every possible outcome in the lottery? I looked that up. There is data on it. It's an incredibly high number. But the biggest thing actually isn't buying every number. Let's assume you had the wealth for it. Here. The biggest problem is you would have an incredibly difficult time locating the ticket with the winning numbers on it because you'd have so many tickets. The Mega Millions and Powerball lotteries in the US can have jackpots that exceed $1 billion, and each lottery has odds about 1 in 300 million, and each ticket costs $2. Theoretically, you could buy all combinations of numbers for 600 million and guarantee that you will win $1 billion for a profit of 400 million. Wait, but you already know that's not how it works, which they're about to get into. So 600 million to buy every combination. The reason you don't actually profit is because there's tax on it. So if you win $1 billion, you keep, I think, 300 million. So you would have lost 300 mil through this. Mr. Beast did something similar. He bought scratch-offs, but he didn't make money. He lost money. He had some winners, sure, but he still ended up losing more than he won. 70%. I think so. Did I get the math wrong? Let me double check. I'm pretty sure if you win $1 billion, you keep about 330 million. If a winner emerges from Wednesday, they'll have the option to choose between $1 billion spread out across 30 years or a lump sum of 516 million. The lump sum will face the mandatory federal tax withholding of 24%, leaving the winner 392 million. And depending on the winner's taxable income, their winnings could drop to as low as 325 million. So yeah, you'd lose money if you bought every possible combination. 325 million is still good. Hey, she ain't bad, but the reason we're talking about that is because we were looking up how much it would cost to buy every combination, and it's roughly 600 million. So you'd lose money. You'd lose a lot of money. Oh, another great point. Also, more than one person can win, and then you'd have to split it further. So yeah, you would just lose money. A ton. You're so wrong. I am looking at the numbers. What are you talking about? What am I wrong about? What? It's all right here on what you take home on $1 billion win. Let's just assume you get the lump sum, and for some reason they say, you know what? Listen here, Bubba. I'm not taxing that. Uncle Sam said, you keep that 516 million, not subject to tax. You'd still lose $100 million. So if you buy all the combinations here, you would need the jackpot to be well north of $1 billion, because $1 billion wouldn't be enough to cover what you spent. What's up, everybody? It's Critical. Over the last 4 or 5 years, there's a question that's constantly popped up that I keep forgetting to bring up in my yearly answering questions video, so I figured I might as well make a whole video about it today. A lot of you might not remember, but about 4 or 5 years ago, I was involved in a car accident, and then a lady faked an injury and sued me for it, and it was just a really shitty period for me. And I made a video after the whole lawsuit and everything was finished and done with, but I still get asked a lot to go into more detail about what happened, so I figured fuck it, why not? It's kind of an interesting story. So I was on my way home from my figure drawing art class, and I'm pretty shitty at art, and drawing nude models was just incredibly difficult. They'd strike the most bizarre poses like the Inquisitive Masturbator or the YMCA, and I'd do my best to doodle them, but it always came out looking like something out of a 3-year-old sketchbook. It basically just looked like you were looking at bacteria under a microscope. But regardless of my artistic ineptitude, it's irrelevant. So I was driving home from that class, and it's just an ordinary commute and bumping some boner jams, and then all of a sudden, the car in front of me slams on their brakes, and I had absolutely no time to react. So I rear-ended that car, and then that car rear-ended the car in front of them. Now, it wasn't a high-speed impact. At most, I was going 25, but I didn't have time to slam on my brakes because I was driving a little too close to them. So that was like a full 25 in the anus. And luckily, no one was hurt in the accident. But I turn off the boner jams, and I go check on the passengers in both cars, and I swear I couldn't have gotten in an accident with 2 worse groups of people in those cars. The car that I rear-ended was driven by a nurse who was also the babysitter of the 2 kids in the car whom she was bringing to their families, and the kid in the front seat, the front passenger seat, had a fucking artificial sternum and set of ribs. So when she told me that, I just figured the kid wasn't gonna make it, even though I don't think he was injured. Maybe the airbag clipped him and just destroyed the poor guy. But he was fine. The kid in the back seat was on like an oxygen tank or something, or I don't know what he had back there. He had some type of Star Trek contraption that was keeping him afloat. So I just thought they were both gone for. The lady was totally fine, and turns out the kids were both fine, but I was fucking panicked once I heard all of this information and saw when I looked in the car. And then the car they rear-ended was driven by a mid-90s woman transporting her 74-year-old son to a doctor's appointment to check on the condition of his fucked up leg. And when I went up to this car to check if they were alright, I thought it was just driven by 2 statues. They didn't even react. They were confused as to why I was up there. I don't even think they knew they were in an accident until all the dust settled, and then they realized their car was kind of damaged. When I saw them, though, I thought it was game over. I thought there was no way they survived this. It looked like a rogue tumbleweed could take them out. Turns out they were totally fine, and more so just annoyed that they were going to be late to the doctor's appointment. So luckily everyone was 100% fine. The only one who even sustained any type of injury was me, and it was from when I went to check on the car in front of me. It was covered in broken glass that I didn't see, and I just cut the shit out of my hand on it. So the police show up, the paramedics show up, they give everyone the okay, a clean bill of health. No one needs to go to the hospitals or anything, they can all just go home, everyone's fine. But unfortunately, the car that I rear-ended must have been made out of fucking tissue paper because that shit just crumbled. The entire rear end of that was just in shambles. My car had absolutely no damage to it, and that's not an exaggeration. There wasn't even a scratch on my car. I guess I just rear-ended a block of styrofoam. But anyway, so everyone's fine, everyone's safe. We all go our separate ways. And then about a week later, the woman driving the car with the 2 glass children issues a lawsuit. She's suing me and my family, stating that she suffered severe neck injuries as a result of the accident, which is just bullshit, and we tried to fight it, but there really wasn't much we could do, because she went to one of the most corrupt doctors in Tampa, who was well known for performing fake surgeries on ambulance chasers. So she goes to this bogus doctor, and over the course of a year, gets a bunch of injections of Dorito dust into her, and then gets her tits polished or something. Then after about a year, she got a settlement from my insurance company for a very mediocre sum of money, and I imagine at most she probably pocketed about $5,000, so I don't know if it was really worth her time and effort, but whatever. All power to you, you fucking asshole. So yeah, that's the whole story about what happened there. Luckily everyone was alright, even the girl who faked the injury. I'm glad she was safe, although she's a big old piece of shit. So yeah, that's about it. See ya. Hey you, what's that stink? It smells like brave boy in here. That must mean that there's a courageous man in this room. And I don't mean to alarm you, but he's sitting right in front of you. You notice anything different about me? Be honest. I know you do. I faced one of my biggest fears this week. On Saturday, I got on an airplane. A real airplane. Not like a flight simulator or anything like that. I'm talking a legitimate bird-in-the-sky flying machine. God bless the Wright brothers. And I took it to Texas. And I had so much fun on that flight that I decided to take a flight back home today, on Monday. I know that doesn't sound impressive to pretty much any of you, but to me, this was a huge deal. You know how people have like phobias of spiders and no one gives them shit for it? Well, I get shit all the time for being afraid of flying, and you know what? I said, fish paste with this. Dirty barnacles. I'm getting on a plane. I've had a fear of flying for as long as I can remember. I think prior to this flight I'd been on about 10 planes total. The last time was in 2016 to California, and I've always hated it. It's always been terrifying to me. Yes, I already know there's people on the keyboard right now, fucking steam and smoke coming off their fingers, furiously typing about how safe they are and all the statistics, and I know that. I get it. It's a phobia for a reason. It doesn't have to be rational. Everyone has some kind of fear that they can't really rationalize super well, and for me, it's flying. I just find the whole idea of a plane terrifying because if something goes wrong, the stakes are so high. Plus, you're also trapped in this giant metal tube in the sky for hours, so if you have an emergency, like you break your arm, start choking on your bubblegum, you can't, like, get medical attention. Well, aside from, like, the Heimlich maneuver, but, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, if you have a medical emergency, they can't exactly just pull over to the nearest air hospital. You know, it's not BioShock Infinite. We don't have, like, just floating buildings that you can pull into or anything. So, you're just trapped on there until you touch down on the ground whenever the flight is done. So, it's just the whole idea of flying has been scary to me for as long as I can remember. But this weekend was a very special weekend. There was a massive event that I didn't want to miss. I needed to be there. It was the RLCS World Championship, the Rocket League World Championship, a $2 million tournament where our esports org, Moist Esports, was competing. We had locked in top 8, and we were starting on Sunday to try and take home the grand prize and the big trophy, the big clams. And I wanted to be there in person to support the squad. I would do pretty much anything to support Moist Esports. I am so passionate about it. I absolutely fucking love it. So I knew I had to be there for our team. Rise, Joyo, Vatira, and Noah make up the Moist Esports Rocket League team, and I think they're the best in the world. Unfortunately, they didn't win the World Championship this weekend, but I still couldn't be more proud of them. Next season, for sure, they'll be hoisting the trophy. There is no one more deserving than them, and no one wants it more than them. And being there was super special, so I'm glad I decided to face my fears and actually get on a plane for the first time in 6 years. Not only was it really great to be there for the team, but also just meeting the community was amazing. I met so many fucking awesome people at the event. It was beautiful. The fans chanting "Let's get wet" was unforgettable. Them chanting "Rise, Joyo, Vatira," absolutely iconic and memories I will always cherish. The Psyonix team, Psyonix is the developers behind Rocket League, put on the best esports event I could have imagined. It was a 14,000 seat arena, massive jumbotron, even got to stream from there for the watch party, so you're welcome to check out that VOD. I'll post it on YouTube at some point too. It was just such an incredible experience, and it was absolutely worth the panic attack that I experienced on the first flight. So the flight wasn't smooth for me. The first flight to Fort Worth was absolutely miserable. I brought like 18 different drugs, like legal ones. I'm not talking like shooting up heroin in the back or anything. I brought like Dramamine, Afrin to like open up my ears and everything. Just tons of different fucking things. I was damn near ready to start bringing in shungite, get like real spiritual with energy crystals, because I was just panicking. And unfortunately, on that journey there, within the first 15 minutes, I had a full-blown panic attack. I thought my throat was closing up. I had shot like 6 squirts of Afrin into my nostrils, so I thought I was just gonna like OD in the back of the plane. The flight attendants come by with the cart of snacks and just find my corpse, wondering what the fuck happened. Like I just got attacked by a nasal decongestant. I flew with friends, of course, and they did a great job of helping keep me calm and get through the panic attack. So that was very helpful. Ended up watching a movie and simmering down a bit. But yeah, the journey there was not pretty. It was not pleasant. It was pretty traumatizing. I didn't think I was going to make it. And it was entirely in my own head too. Like it had nothing to do with the actual plane or anything. It was me overthinking it and just, again, falling to fear. But got through it, made it to Fort Worth, and had a wonderful time. And thankfully the flight back was a lot calmer. No panic attack or anything. Just buckled down, watched a bit of a movie, even took a nap. And that was all she wrote. We landed, everything was nice and smooth, so that one was fine, but the first one was absolutely rough. I think the question on everyone's mind now is, will I fly again? And I'm super happy to say, fuck no. No, nope. I don't plan on flying very often. For the next Rocket League World Championship, maybe I'll hop back on the plane, get back in the saddle, and get out there. But I think I'll probably just stick to like ground transportation. Even though the second flight was a lot calmer than the first one, I still wasn't happy or comfortable. I was still very scared out of my fucking mind and nervous. And the entire week leading up to this was nothing but stress and anxiety. I think across the 72 hours prior to Saturday, I slept maybe 6 hours total. Maybe. And that's being generous. So it has been fucking miserable. So I don't really plan on becoming a frequent flyer, but at least I faced my fears this week, and I know I can do it for like big events, you know, that really, you know, get my engine revved and get me wanting to get out there as quickly as possible. I know now that I can at least face them. So I think this was a fucking great week all around. I'm super proud of Moist Esports Rocket League team, and I can't wait to see more from them. I think the future is very, very bright. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about this a bit, and that's it. So yeah. Occasionally during my live streams, people bring up Miami because I'm in Florida and everyone knows Miami, so they always want to know, have I been there? Do I like Miami? And I made it very clear that I have a very palpable disdain for that city, if you can even call it a city. I call it a scam. I almost just don't even believe in Miami. It's kind of like the fucking Tooth Fairy to me. If the Tooth Fairy was a huge asshole whose only purpose was to bite your nipples off while you were asleep, I really do hate Miami. So let's get really into the meat and semen of why I hate Miami. I've only been one time. It was my junior year of college, and my friends and I went for spring break. We were going to celebrate it there, just go fucking wild. Yeah, Miami Beach party. Oh, tits all over the place. Look at all that ass, and look at all these beers and alcohols. And that was the plan. But we severely underestimated just how expensive everything in Miami is. We knew it was going to be a bit pricier, but not even Jesus Christ himself could have convinced us it'd be as expensive as it turned out to be. There was only one thing in all of Miami we could afford, and that was the hotel, because we all pooled our money together to be able to afford that. Past that, we were left to die. The people in Miami wouldn't piss in your mouth if you were dying of thirst unless you had $1,000 to pay them for it. The prices there are out fucking rageous. We couldn't be left alone. We couldn't buy anything alone. We had to stay in a group and start budgeting our money. Hey man, look, I just ran out of soap and I need to get some at Walgreens. Can you spot me $50 so I can at least get halfway there and I'll cover the other 50? Because you can't afford anything. We couldn't buy a pack of almonds on our own without coming together as a group and budgeting that purchase. It's fucking insane how expensive everything there is. Let's go ahead and start from day one because it hit us immediately when we got there. We planned the trip for 4 days. We stayed all 4 days, but on the first day we knew we were in for a rude awakening. So day one we were already, ready to rock and roll, ready for partying. Hey, it's spring break. It's time to go nuts to butts. Let's fucking hit it and shit it. So we got a taxi, which was extremely expensive, got stuck in Miami traffic for an hour, and then made it to this area where all the bars are. I can't even remember what it's called, but there's a bar there that's like the Frankliner, or maybe like the Frankie Doolittle or something. I don't remember, but it's a big bar there, and we paid $20 to get in, which is huge for us because in Tampa, it's free entry if you're over 21, so paying $20 just to get in, that was a real slap to the urethra, but we did it anyway because spring break, baby, woo! Shirt over your head and everything, about ready to go wild. And we made the mistake of ordering shots right upon getting there. Shots of Fireball, because in Tampa, a shot of Fireball is $3, and I'll never forget what it is in Miami at the Frankie Muniz Hotel or whatever. $18. $18 for a shot of Fireball. Fireball is the shittiest alcohol you can get in a shot, and it was $18 there. It was insulting. So after taking that shot, needless to say, it was basically like swallowing all of our money at the same time. We were already running out of money just from our first bar visit and first round of drinks. If I wanted to take that shot glass and dunk it into their pool, I'd probably have to pay $10 for their chlorinated pool water with pee all in it. It's unreal, the prices there. But it wasn't all lost upon going to that bar because there was a homeless man, probably not actually homeless, but he dressed like a homeless man, and he was doing magic tricks, and we got a little private magic show from him. And it was all hat magic, so he'd like be doing cool shit with his hat. And his grand finale was he pulled out a baggie of cocaine from his hat. It was really fucking cool, and we all gave him like $5 because he fucking earned it like a motherfucker. That man should be going on Penn and Teller's Fool Us, or maybe America's Got Talent. It was a great routine, and he's even got a little something to get the crowd energized, just start throwing coke out. I could see him being a big magician someday. Hopefully he's doing well. We called it a night right after that because it certainly wasn't getting better than that magic show, and it certainly wasn't getting cheaper. So we went back to the hotel and we started just drinking all of the alcohol we brought. That was a lot of fun, just 5 guys in the hotel room getting absolutely shit-faced because they couldn't afford to elsewhere. And I got extremely drunk, probably the drunkest I've ever been, and I blacked out. And then the next day, we all planned to go to the beach, but I was so incredibly fucked up that I needed to keep having the taxi driver pull over so I could puke. We finally got to the beach, and I still had to keep puking, but apparently all of the areas on the beach don't really have bathrooms. Miami doesn't believe in bathrooms, so I went to a Walgreens. They don't have a bathroom. I went to the next door business that I don't remember. They didn't have a bathroom. I went to the other business next door, which was probably like a cocaine supplier. I don't really know what it was, but it was a dilapidated little business. They didn't have a bathroom, so I ended up just puking on the road. I just figured, why not? I had nowhere else to go, and I'm sure it's pretty commonplace in Miami. I'm sure I'm about the 5th guy that morning to puke on that road. And I was feeling like shit for the rest of the entire day. The beach was underwhelming. It was just like every other beach in Florida. There was nothing super special about it except for some trivia, like Dexter Season 2 was filmed, or the Dexter intro was filmed on that beach. Like, who gives a fuck? It was so boring. At least right up until a Category 5 hurricane hit Miami that day. It wasn't an actual hurricane, but there was a goddamn monsoon that blew through and completely annihilated us. Apparently there was like a fucking news warning that went out, like, this is going to be the biggest storm we've had in 10 years. And we weren't listening to the news or anything, so we just went to the beach. There wasn't a whole lot of people there, but I can see why now. And it was just this incredibly disastrous storm that hit, with intense wind that was nearly knocking me over and my friends, and this hardest rain ever. It was like we were getting hit by baseballs. It was so miserable. Miserable. Walked away bruised and bloody, but undeterred. Our spirits were still as high as they could be, because come that night we were ready to try again. Bars were out of the question because we couldn't afford the drinks, so we thought, how about clubs? So we went to a club. I don't remember the name of it. It might have been Platinum or something to that degree. $300 to get into that club. That's excluding drinks. That's not included. $300 just to go in there. Unbelievable. Needless to say, we all didn't have $300 a person to pay to get into this shit-ass club on the side of the fucking road. So we didn't go to that club. I don't know why it was $300. Maybe Jay-Z, Post Malone, Lil Wayne, and Johnny Cash was revived and they were all playing that night. That might justify $300 to go in there. But we didn't do it, so that was another bust. And then we decided, how about a strip club? Miami's famous for their strip clubs, and we thought maybe King of Diamonds would be fun. But this time we wisened up before paying for the extremely expensive ride to the King of Diamonds or anywhere in Miami. We decided to look up how much it is at King of Diamonds. Way too expensive. In a nutshell, way too expensive. Strippers there probably wouldn't even look at you if you were throwing dollars at them. You'd have to be showering hundreds to even get them to look in your direction. So we didn't go to King of Diamonds or any other strip club either. That was day 2. Day 3, we gave up. Day 3, we took a day to just recoup. We hung out in the hotel. We walked around Miami just at like little mom and pop stores, I enjoyed that. That was kind of fun. We saw a little bit of the city. We went to some stores, couldn't afford anything there because you can't afford anything in Miami. That's the main lesson to take away from the experience. But we went to some little diners and stuff and tried a bunch of different foods that I'd never heard of before, which was kind of nice. But that was day 3. Spring break's really kicking in nice. Day 4, we tried one more time. We went to different bars. The prices were a little bit better than at the Frankie show, the Frankie Way, whatever that bar is. The prices were a little bit better. So we all chipped in and bought a pitcher, which was just kind of the most pathetic drinking experience I've ever had because we were all just defeated. Like, you know what, guys? How much money do we have left? 15 quarters? All right, let's just see if we can haggle a pitcher of beer off of this bar here. And miraculously we did get a pitcher, and we all just kind of drank away the spring break because it was bad. I would have had more fun spending spring break in a sensory deprivation tank than in Miami. It was an absolutely miserable experience. The worst spring break I've ever had, and definitely the worst spring break I think a college kid could have. We lost pretty much all of the money we brought with us and had nothing to show for it. But it was kind of a good-looking city. It was kind of pretty, and walking around trying a bunch of different foods was kind of fun. I would never recommend anyone ever go to Miami because you just can't afford to. Unless you're taking out a mortgage, taking out some loans or something to be able to afford anything at all there, you're just not going to be able to have any fun. There's also a huge drug problem there, from what I could tell. I don't really keep up with the Miami news or anything. But walking the beach and shit, there are so many people asking you if you want to buy drugs, which was really uncomfortable. But overall, hated Miami. I would never recommend you spend spring break in Miami. Anywhere else. Literally spring break anywhere else. Go to fucking Antarctica, you'll have more fun. I don't really care where you go, but you will not have fun in Miami. That's the gist of it. That's it. See ya. Yeah, that title's not clickbait. In fact, it's underselling it. We're not just making a porno. We're making like the Homer's Odyssey of porn. The fucking Citizen's Kane of adult films. Throw out everything you think you know about fucking, because we're reinventing what it even means. So, to give you a little overview, I've talked about it during the streams at twitch.tv/moistcritical. A couple months ago, I got approached by a massive porn company about writing a full-length, massive budget porn production for them. Of course, this offer piqued my interest. However, there's a lot of bad things that go on in the porn industry for some of these companies, a lot of sketchy shit, especially when it comes to the treatment of some of the performers, and I wanted to ensure that this company didn't have any of those problems, so I did some extensive research on the company, and from everything I've found, the company just has a great reputation. The performers love to work with the company. No one's ever had anything negative to say about an experience they've had while working with them, and they're just a well-respected company in the field. It also has multiple arms, all of which are dedicated to improving the porn norms and conditions for a lot of the performers, so the company is actively out there trying to improve the atmosphere and perception of porn. So I felt, given this track record, they've earned a script from Genghis Swan. So let me make it clear, we are only writing this show for them. We have it written as 4 episodes, but we're only writing it. We're not actually going to be on set directing or anything like that. But it is myself, Jackson, Matt, and Danny working on this. We've pretty much finished the script, and we've submitted the first episode, which has been approved. They enjoyed it. But due to coronavirus, even the porn industry is locked down, so there truly is no industry that's unaffected by coronavirus. So I don't know when it's going to get made, if it's even going to get made this year or anything. So I thought it'd be fun just to show you the first writing session Jackson and I had while working on this. It's important to note we're not using any of the ideas you see here, and it's going to be pretty obvious why, because they're pretty shit ideas. But I thought it'd be fun just to give you a little taste of what's cooking up in the laboratory over here. Writer's Room, February 3rd, 2020. First session of the Creative Geniuses.
Oh, whoa. Hey.
I will say right off the bat, the working title of The Fucking at Rock Hard Manor, I think might be a bit too on the nose. I'm thinking something a little more artsy. I think we need to be thinking James Bond, you know, like condoms are forever or fuck another day, you know?
The Fucking at Rock Hard Manor is great, like wordplay on the genre, though. It's like the murder at Mount.
It's not wordplay by replacing murder with fucking.
That is genuinely what wordplay is.
Well, yeah, for like a 4th grade English class, perhaps.
It's so good.
We can do better.
Rock Hard Manor is. Well, all right. Well, what?
The title is extremely important, Jackson. Think about Deep Throat. What if it wasn't called Deep Throat? What if it was just called Gagging on a Dick? It wouldn't have been nearly as impactful. You need a good title.
What's that one that's on Murder on the Orient Express? That's the exact same title that I've got.
We could call it, sticking in this vein, we could call it The Murder of Cats. And you see what it's getting at? Pussy. You get it?
That's so awful. That is downright awful. No one's gonna click on a video called The Murder of Cats. What is wrong with you sociopath?
We'll keep that one on ice. We'll come back to it. So this is Detective Mike Mitchell, a middle-aged Caucasian male ace detective who leaves no stone unturned, disgraced from the force after he fucked the mayor's daughter after solving the case of her husband's death. That might be kind of tough. I still think we need a supernatural element where, like...
What?
Yeah, like maybe they use the used condom on the floor and at the end they, like, use it like an elixir and pour it into the dead man's mouth and it brings him back. Or like an orgy seance brings him back to life.
I do like that. I really like the idea of bringing back Shock Rockhard as a character.
We should have like a private military contract group in here somewhere, like hunting Mitchell. But ultimately, what is the goal? What does Shock Rockhard want?
Well, now we can't do the inheritance thing because obviously he's still alive in this scenario. So what does he want?
I really think it should all just be like a giant ploy to see who was cheating on him. Or something.
But they're all cheating on him? That would imply that he's in a relationship with all of them if they were to cheat on him. Even old Colonel Matthew Gillespie, his old wartime buddy, has been cheating on him.
That wouldn't make any sense. Why would Colonel Matthew Gillespie be cheating on him? Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a cop-out, but I think it might work a little bit better. Like, maybe we go scary stories to tell in the dark style, where, like, the manor is placed upon an Indian burial ground, and they've been all stricken with a curse. And it's all, like, the curse revolves around sex in some way. So Shock Rockhard has succumbed to the curse, and then Mike Mitchell's piecing everything together.
To sex, like what kind of clue do you leave behind? Usually in sex, it's only ever really condoms. So would there just be condoms left around in each room? Detective Mitchell has like a force power where he touches the condom and has a force vision of the fucking.
That's not a bad idea. I like that. Yeah, his eyes roll into the back of his head. Camera pans into his skull. Maybe we could do something with Dr. Zachariah Good Sensation. A middle-aged to explain for the behind the scenes. Dr. Zachariah Good Sensation is a middle-aged scientist on the verge of a scientific breakthrough. He has been testing a hypothesis that ensures explosive female orgasms. Perhaps this event was the perfect place to test his theory. Or perhaps he's being framed by someone who wishes to discredit his work. only time in that used
I don't
condom
remember
was
writing any of this at all. I realized though, or perhaps he's being framed by someone who wishes to discredit his work. How does that discredit his work leaving behind a condom? His whole work is based around orgasms and they leave behind a condom that proves
Maybe it's an empty condom, so there was no fluid.
that is perfect. Oh, that could be a whole like, well, Detective Mike Mitchell examines the condom and realizes that there's no cum on it.
A real crack shot. I think we're all set on the idea that he gets the mysterious envelope, he takes the job, he comes to Rock Hard Manor, power's gone out, and a mysterious condom is on the floor. I think that is a strong start. Shock Rockvein has an open casket, so we can see Shock the whole... well,
Oh,
perhaps maybe not. Maybe... I don't know. I still like kind of one of the ideas I tossed around where Mike Mitchell is Shock Rockhard. And that could be like a big gotcha to the audience.
but it just doesn't make sense because all of these characters know Shock Rockhard, so they would recognize him.
He could be wearing a disguise, or perhaps like he disfigured his face on purpose, or like a polyjuice potion. So they're at the will reading. Shock Rockhard's open casket. Mike Mitchell has
Open, all right, open casket, but only from the cock down. How about that? It's just the bottom half is open. We never see who's in the top half.
It's a great idea.
It's of no benefit, but I like it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, just an open cock casket. Write that down. Yeah, it's going to be important.
It's how he would want to be remembered.
Yeah, I think it might be... what if we just give Mike Mitchell superpowers?
When he's erect, he has to have a boner to be able to have that kind of power. So Melanie's always kind of following him around and
Ooh, that's it.
offering-
Yeah, that's a
such a
really good
dick.
idea. Like, it has an activation cost. Like, he can see the events of things he touches, but only when he's erect. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so Melanie Grimes understands that. She's the one. He's never had these visions before. It's only here, and she knows how to activate it. So that's how we think.
Well, it could be well known, because then everyone could fuck him. Like, I need you to see the past of my 1914 Budweiser can, says Madame Giselle Rockhard. He says, ma'am, you know I can't do that unless I'm properly stimulated. And then they fuck. And then
yes, I love it.
yeah,
Yes,
and then as
okay.
he's climaxing, Giselle Rockhard tosses the Budweiser can, he catches it, and then we get a vision. Yeah, so for Miss Penny Traction, a middle-aged French teacher with deep sexual fantasies, she was the secret lover of Madame Tootie Rockhard's deceased husband.
I think for like 5 minutes, I had Giselle Rockhard's name as Tootie for some reason. It's just the first name that jumped into my head, but I changed it. Do you prefer Tootie or Giselle?
I like Tootie a lot.
Alright, well, it's Tootie now. But then Mike goes around the entire house fucking everyone to see the visions. So,
Okay, how about this? In the will, as they're reading the will, like they get through the whole thing, and he very fairly divides his entire fortune among everyone present, but only on the condition that they haven't had sex on the night of his funeral. And that's why that condom is so shocking.
maybe it's based around Colonel Gillespie somehow. We can fit him in here. He's Shock Rockhard's trying to get the word out that war crimes were committed by Matthew Gillespie. Oh my god. An hour and our only notes have been DNA test reveals ancestry between Shock Rockhard and Detective Mitchell. Indian burial ground. Curse revolves around sex. Shock Rockhard succumbs to the curse. Casket is open from cock down. Mike Mitchell can only see visions if he is hard. How do we fucking tie this all together?
It's like a Marvel comic. Maybe we just take one of these characters. I think we have a lot of potential with Dr. Zachariah Good Sensation. Maybe we make him set up as like the Thanos of our universe. So you have all of these characters getting together, and they're going to stop Zachariah Good Sensations technology because it will replace Min.
Oh, I like that. It's like the Avengers of fucking.
Mm-hmm.
The lights go off. It's a normal party. Shock Rock Car's there, all happy and alive. The lights go off, and when the lights come back on, he's on the ground covered in cum. He's been fucked. He's comatose. Detective Mike Mitchell has to come and figure out who fucked him to almost death.
Yeah, the lights are off. You just hear like this euphoric moan and a collapse.
He's fine 1 second, the lights go out. And when it comes back on, this old man's been fucked into a coma on the floor.
A big smile on his face.
Yeah.
No, I like the idea of he was already on his way to the party because he had gotten a mysterious envelope about it. Like, I'm gonna fuck Shock Rock hard.
Wait, he's gonna fuck him?
No, like the envelope. That's what the message said.
Alright, so the letter said, I'm gonna fuck Shock Rock hard, and you need to find out who I am? Oh no, it's Shock Rock hard. It's Shock Rock hard's letter to him saying, oh, I'm probably going to be fucked. I need help figuring out who's trying to fuck me.
There's a problem no one in the world is talking about at the moment. Victims that are being silenced and are too afraid to come forward. I believe by me coming forward and shedding light on this problem, it'll be the first domino to fall, causing the domino effect of dominoes falling because the first domino fell. Similar to how the sexual assault victims are coming forward in Hollywood to reveal what's going on over there. Which is absolutely great, and I feel like this is on that same level of importance. And yes, I am comparing the inconvenience of the front row movie theater seats to being sexually assaulted. Those fucking front row seats sexually assault my fucking neck. My entire being gets raped every time I sit in the fucking front row of a movie theater because I arrived late and that's the only thing fucking left. The front row of a movie theater is the most poorly designed part of any building that has ever existed throughout all of history of time. I don't understand what the thought process was when putting that fucking front row in the movie theaters. It must have just been a joke that caught on because it's been standardized. Every single movie theater has its front row about one butterfly penis away from the screen, so you're looking up at it at a 90-degree angle. It's like simulating what a floor mat sees every fucking day. And you pay the same price for those seats as every other seat in the theater, which is significantly better. Every seat that's not in the front row is a much better seat. What they should do is make the front row cheaper or move it back. Either one makes sense. Either one makes a load of sense. Because the front row, as it is in these days, is genuinely awful and ruins the movie-going experience. I saw 2 movies in the front row in the last month because I arrived late, unfortunately. One of them had a reclining seat, the other did not. The one that did not was an absolute fucking torture device. That was a chore to get through. It was like being waterboarded by a mediocre movie on the screen. It was just so bad. It was such an unpleasant experience. The one I saw last night, which was Jumanji, and it had a reclining seat in the front row, was a little bit better because I was at least pretty much laying down looking up at it, but that distorted the entire fucking movie for me. Every person's face looked like they were melting. And every time there was a nighttime scene, I couldn't see what was going on. It was like closing my eyes. It was like a sensory deprivation tank at that point, except there was a lot of fucking sound, but I couldn't see at all what was going on at the screen at that angle. Go ahead and do this little experiment right now. Get on the floor, tilt your computer screen, your computer monitor up, and then see if you can make out what's going on the screen. You fucking can't. It's impossible. I don't understand why the front row is as it is these days. I don't know who did it, and I don't like them for it. I'm a firm believer in not judging a book by its cover, but if the book cover says I designed the front row movie theater seats, I'm gonna think that guy's a fucking asshole and I'm gonna hate him. It is just a genuinely unpleasant experience sitting in the front row. It's like one of the plagues of Egypt, being condemned to sitting in the front row for every movie you want to see for the rest of eternity. It is an absolute miserable experience in the front row of a movie theater. It makes you want to leave. Even if the movie's great, you're not enjoying it because you're battling with your fucking muscles tensing up from staring straight up into the sky, and then your eyes start hurting and feel like they're going to burst out of your skull because you're adjusting them so frequently to make out what shapes are on the screen, and you're squinting the whole time like you're looking up at the fucking sun. There is nothing redeeming about sitting in the front row. From now on, if all that's left is the front row, I'm just not going to see the movie that day. And I think that's probably what a lot of people do, because I know no one likes the front row. I just can't imagine a community of people gathering together as front row movie theater seat enthusiasts. If there is a group of people like that, they must be the most masochistic fucks out there. Oh yes, I just love the front row of movie theaters. I can't get enough of it. Big fan. I also really enjoy my nipples being clamped on by crocodile teeth, and I love sleeping on a bed of used heroin needles. It's just dumb. The front row is fucking dumb, and I can't imagine anyone liking it. I really can't. There's nothing redeeming about it. You actually can't make out what's going on in the movie clearly. It ruins movies. It does. It absolutely does. Now, I've only ever been to, like, the big chain movie theaters. I haven't been to any mom-and-pop dine-ins where they give you, like, a hand job during the movie or anything like that, so I can only speak from experience with the front row and the mainstream ones, and they're all the same. They're all way too fucking close to the screen. I'm assuming there's probably some local theaters that have, come to terms with, no one's gonna like this. Let's use some reasoning here. Let's move our front row back quite a bit so it doesn't ruin people's movie-watching experience. But for now, all I'm familiar with is the mainstream theaters and their front row is abysmal and needs to be changed. Absolutely has to. If you're watching this mainstream movie theaters, change your fucking front row. Please. Hashtag front row, fuck no. Just a horrible experience. Fuck the front row. Just wanted to get this all out there. That's it. See ya. What's up, everybody? It's Critical. There's just something I want to talk about right now. More venting than anything. So last night I was watching Les Mis with Hugh Jackman and Anne Hathaway. I mean, I wasn't watching the movie with them, but the movie has them in it, and I was watching this movie with my girlfriend. And right towards the end of the movie, I started getting extremely intense chest pains that weren't subsiding. It was debilitating. I couldn't look down. Moving certain ways made it worse, and I decided I needed to go to the hospital. I thought I was having a heart attack. I was thinking Les Mis was so fucking bad that it actually gave me a heart attack. So I went to the hospital and I got there around 11 o'clock, a little after 11 o'clock, and it was just absolute dog anus there. Absolutely horrendous. It was impossible to get seen. I would have had better luck meeting Robert De Niro in person and then having my dick jerked off by Jennifer Aniston. From the time of signing in and just saying why I was there, it was about an hour to getting the vitals and EKG done, and I can understand that because it's a hospital, they were busy. I can understand a little bit of a wait in that area. But I get there at 11 o'clock, a little after 11. The doctor didn't see me or any of the tests I did until 5:33 a.m. I'll go ahead and do the math for you so you don't have to. That is 6.5 hours of not being seen despite going to the emergency unit here. This is the fucking emergency unit. Luckily, I wasn't having a heart attack, but if I was having a heart attack, I would have fucking dropped dead in their waiting room, and then it would have been about 2 hours for them to clean up the body. I just don't understand how that's acceptable. They weren't even filling me in like, oh, I'm sorry, we're just so busy right now, the doctors are overloaded with a whole lot of work. They weren't communicating anything. I was just left in this fucking waiting room, developing deep vein thrombosis, waiting for this shit. I'm surprised that isn't a goddamn epidemic at Tampa General, just people dropping dead from deep vein thrombosis waiting to be seen in the emergency room. It's fucking ridiculous. Tampa General Hospital's motto should be, if you're not dead by the time you get here, the wait will kill you. It's just so fucking unbelievable how long they will make you wait without relaying any information to you at all or checking in on you or anything. Anything at all. It's the emergency room. People go there for emergencies, mostly. Some people go there just because they don't know where else to go or what to do. But for the most part, it's for people that think they are in a very serious situation and want to be seen immediately to make sure it's not urgent, and to just have them sitting in the waiting room like a virgin waiting for marriage, it's just so fucking unbelievable to me that that is an acceptable thing. And that's the fucking emergency side of this hospital. I can hardly even imagine what anything else in this area would look like. Basically a fucking summer camp, because if you go there, you're not even going to be seen that day, I imagine. This must have been them fucking rushing it. Quick! It's been 6.5 hours. We're making record time. Get him in here! It's just so fucking crazy to me. I can't even find the right words for it. Just sitting out there with this consistent chest pain for 6.5 hours thinking I'm having a heart attack. It's just scary. And it's just... fuck. It's unbelievable. Now, I've never been one to complain about wait times in any situations, because I get it. I understand. Things get very hectic, chaotic at the drop of a hat, and you can't always prepare for it. But to be so severely understaffed that you have patients waiting 6+ hours in the emergency side, it's just disgusting. I wasn't the only one waiting that long. Luckily, my chest pain, they didn't think it was cardiac. They thought it was more of a muscular skeletal issue, so hopefully it's nothing serious. But for someone who does go there and it's something more serious like an appendicitis, you know, they go there and present the symptoms, and then they make them sit in the waiting room for that amount of time, fucking decomposing, and then meanwhile their fucking appendix bursts, and then they're face down on your floor, your fucking blood-stained floor, because they don't clean up the floor. There's a bunch of blood on the floor, so they're face down on the floor. If they're not dead from that, then they've contracted some type of blood-borne illness. Really, if you're in an extreme situation here in Tampa and you need to get seen right away, going to the Tampa General Hospital is the worst thing you can do for yourself. You might as well write a letter to Santa and ask him to help you out. You would get the same response time from Santa as you would from Tampa General Hospital. The only good thing I can say about the facility is the staff is pretty friendly. That's it, really. In total, the time at the hospital last night was about 8.5, kind of close to 9 hours, not quite 9 hours. 6.5 hours to get seen by the doctor, get 10 minutes of talking with the doctor, then he goes and checks another thing for 2 hours. The shift changes, I get another doctor who has to go do the same procedure again, comes back, and then I got released. Overall, just absolutely disgusting how poorly run that facility is. I can't understand how they can be so understaffed. And I did talk to some of the staff there asking, you know, what's going on, you know, every 3 or 4 hours, you know, I'd check in, you know, what's going on? Did the fucking doctor get blown up in an explosion back there? What's going on? Fill me in. And they told me it's just Mondays. They say they get busy on Mondays. Well, fuck, if you know you're going to be busy on Mondays, why don't you have more people on site for Mondays then? Doesn't that make a little bit of sense? It doesn't even have to be qualified doctors and nurses. Have some fucking dogs carrying notes from the doctor out to the patients in the waiting room. Anything at all to let them know that you haven't forgot about them. So I'm going to stop ranting, but overall, a horrible experience at that hospital with the waiting. I would not recommend it if you need some urgent care. However, I would recommend Tampa General Hospital if you need a place to charge your phone. They have some phone charging stations and they're pretty effective. Yeah, that's it. So yeah.
What's up everybody, it's Critical. I'm going to be talking about some more shit. Now before I do that, the footage you're seeing right there in the background is just me getting my ass kicked at Mission 89 of Earth Defense Force 2025. Alright, well, I don't like talking about myself, but I feel like I kind of need to right now. Like I need to make this video here because what's going on may affect how often I make videos for a little while. Alright, so about a year ago, I got into a car accident. Luckily no one was hurt, so that was good. But one of the women who was involved in the accident faked an injury and was trying to get money out of the insurance. And now she's trying to sue me personally. So I had to get an attorney and all that shit, and I really have no idea how all this suing is going to play out or how long it's going to take. But it comes at a really bad time because I'm not in a very good financial situation right now. I'm unemployed right now, and I need to make money, and I don't exactly know how I'm going to make money. I absolutely will not be taking any of the YouTube money for myself. I will still donate all of the YouTube money I make to various charities because I refuse to let this hobby of mine become a job. Because if this turns into a job, making videos just won't be as much fun, so I'm not going to let that happen. Now, I'm not in danger of becoming homeless or completely broke or anything like that, so I'm sure I'll find something. I've wanted to be a voice actor for a long time, but I have no idea how to get into the voice acting industry, so I'll probably have to do some type of creative job, like people pay me and I'll milk them or something, something that'll really get the income flowing. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because there's a possibility that between getting sued and looking for a moderately decent job, it could affect how often I make videos, but I don't think it will. I think I'll still be able to make videos whenever I want to, and I usually like to make around 2 videos a week. And I don't think that's going to change even with the shit that's going on right now. But this video is just here to kind of explain fucking. Just so you know, to really sum up fucking. Son of a bitch, I really don't know why I'm having such a difficult time putting into words the reason I'm making this video. I feel like a fucking Martian trying to have a political debate with a dinosaur. I'm making this video to explain why if a fucking... Alright, let's try again. Try again here. the reason I'm making this video is for an explanation if, given the worst case scenario, I don't make a video for a week or two. This video tells you why. I think that's the best way to sum it up. So, if a week or 2 weeks goes by and I haven't made a video, it's because of the shit that's going on right now that I've mentioned in this video. So, that's why I'm making this. And in all honesty, I don't think anything's gonna change with how many videos I make a month or anything like that. And I don't have like a set number of videos I make a month. I just make a video whenever it seems like fun, so that's not gonna change, I don't think, but I thought it would be better to be safe and let you all know what's going on in case I don't make a video for like 3 weeks or a month or some extended period of time. So, that's it. See ya.
Hi everyone, it's Charlie coming at you with a hot take about Epcot. The food at Epcot is awful, terrible, abominable. Now that is not talking about the food and wine festival because that shit bangs. I'm talking about the actual restaurants in Epcot. I think they all suck fuck. But I want to say the best part about Epcot is something I think we can all agree on. It's Spaceship Earth. That's the ride inside that giant golf ball where it takes you through the wild and wacky world of 1982, where you sit in the slowest moving vehicle humans have ever created, just moves slow as shit through these old animatronics where they go through the history of communication, and it all leads up to the far-off future of what if you had a computer, and what is a computer. But what really gets my dick hard about Spaceship Earth is that it breaks down every single time you go on it. I swear to God, this bitch breaks down 5, 6, 20 times a day. It's more of a feature at this point and less of a bug. When you're going on Spaceship Earth, account for a 30-minute delay for the ride's breakdown that's inevitably going to happen while you're on it. I've never ridden Spaceship Earth without it breaking down. So at this point, it's really just part of the experience. But anyway, let's get back to the topic of Epcot's restaurant food being absolutely inedibly terrible shit. In yesterday's official podcast episode titled Jackson Quits Again, we talked about Epcot, Andrew and I did, because we had both recently gone to Epcot and we're just utterly disappointed with how bad the food is. This was Andrew's first time eating at one of the restaurants there, and I don't think he was prepared for the level of food quality you get. I've been multiple times over the last 2 years, and every single time going to a restaurant was truly miserable and left the shittiest taste in my mouth. I would have rather rim-jobbed the chef than eaten the food that they gave us. And I don't even blame the staff, because I'm pretty sure it's Epcot's policy to just destroy the food that you order just to make sure there's no chance of foodborne illness. So let me play you a clip from the podcast.
Oh, we didn't even talk about our dinner. We only mentioned that it sucked. Fucking Italy. Good God. Good fucking Lord. Good fucking God. How does a restaurant that's supposed to be Italy just serve shit worse than Olive Garden? Here's your breadsticks, and they give you prepackaged breadsticks.
Yeah, they actually give you
fuck?
store-bought breadsticks, and when they give you, like, bread, like how most Italian places give you little appetizer bread before anything, it's hard as a fucking brick. It is the stalest, oldest, it's genuinely like chewing glass with almost as much flavor. It's unfucking real.
How the fuck did they get away with that? And also, it's expensive as shit. You sit down, and almost all of us got the special, which was chicken Alfredo. And it was a single chicken breast, which was very small and extremely dry, and a generic Alfredo pasta for $30.
I don't like when people say that it's dry because that makes us sound pretentious. When we say dry, imagine like if someone took a chicken, froze it after it's already been cooked, and then ran it over with a car tire. It is so fucking bad.
It was miserable.
Terrible. Terrible. And it's not just Italy that's sucking fuck at Epcot. I went to the hibachi place in Japan before this one. It was like 8 months ago. The hibachi place had I had to watch them ruin chicken, rice, and vegetables in front of me since it's hibachi. They cook it on the fucking grill in front of you, as hibachi chefs are known to do, but they overcook it for like 10 minutes. As your chicken's going from like a nice moist center, I'm watching it dry out, whittle away, and turn to this cadaver of a chicken breast. This fucking Frankenstein's little monster zombie here of chicken in front of me, as the rice is off to the side getting turned into like fucking mashed up sandpaper. It's terrible.
Do you think it's maybe
awful.
just they cook the shit out of everything to avoid lawsuits from like food poisoning?
Yeah. 100%. It's to
Oh,
avoid
yeah.
foodborne illnesses. Oh, and when I ate at France, I got a medium rare steak. I'm not a big meat eater or a red meat eater anymore, but when I do, it's medium rare. I got a medium rare steak, and that shit came out looking like something you'd find in a sewer. It was still somehow like turbo well done and passed off as my medium rare steak that I ordered. It's fucking incredible. It was like Santa Claus gave me a lump of coal for being a naughty Epcot boy. It was miserable. Fucking miserable.
Why do you keep going back? All of these stories like, yeah, 8 months ago I went, and then 6 months ago it also sucked, and then yesterday it really sucked, and that was extra expensive. I'm going next month. I bet it's gonna suck.
To be fair to us, Jackson was visiting, and Disney is the only place that has Star Wars World.
Yeah, Epcot wasn't the plan. We were gonna spend the day at Disney, but Disney was so crowded and so shitty we needed a fallback. So Epcot was only a small gondola ride away, so it only made sense to go. And plus we were all hungry, and everything in Star Wars World had an hour-long wait just to get fast food that's fried in the fucking garbage can.
God.
So we went to Epcot. For the price of the meals and the quality of the meals, it's an absolute scam. I've eaten at a bunch of those different restaurants at Epcot from a ton of different regions that are represented, and all of them have one thing in common. They all suck ass, and the food is dreadfully overprepared. Not just the meat, but every component of the dish is so unbelievably overcooked, I don't know how it could even be considered a meal at that point. At that point, it's just basically dog food. It's not good at all. Now, I've never sent back a meal in my life. I've never complained about food at a restaurant, and I never will. But when you're eating that food, you can literally taste the waste of money. It's just terrible. It really is. It's just somehow, when all plans fail in Orlando, all roads lead to Epcot's utter disappointment just to seal it with a nice shit cherry on top. It's not like I'm planning to go to Epcot for these awful, godforsaken meals that look like something out of a Fallout universe.
That's awesome.
Jesus Christ, I'd rather be eating the fucking bottle caps than the food they serve at Epcot.
Restaurant inspections, sneak your way into the kitchen. Look at these conditions, there's cockroaches and shit. To blow the case wide
If there's
open.
cockroaches, I'd prefer they just throw those on the grill than what they're serving up currently.
Feel cultured about eating food from different cultures, but you know they still get the overcooked American style garbage.
That was a good question I had while we were there. It's like, do some of these people feel demeaned? Does this feel weird? Because in Epcot, every culture, for the most part, the people who work there are from that place. Like, if you go to the Italian restaurant, everyone who works there is from Italy. But isn't this just kind of like a song and dance, like from the 50s, where it's like, look at the strange new cultures? Like, I
thought of that too, especially because of our waiter. He had to keep saying "Mamma Mia." Like it's Super Mario. That's not a joke. He said it at least 5 or 6 times. Like, it's great to like go look at like the replicas of Italy, but I don't want to go in and feel like I'm walking into stereotypes. It's weird.
That's exactly.
Because it's fucking Disney. I don't get it, man. I don't know how they're getting away with this food. It's a hate crime on a plate. It's terrible. And yeah, that's the other thing about Epcot restaurants. It feels really weird. These people have to be like a caricature of the places they're from. Like, I don't think this guy naturally says Mamma Mia all the time. After pretty much every order we placed, he said, Mamma Mia, that's a good choice. And that feels just super uncomfortable to be around, because it's like they're instructing him to say these things, that this is part of his script. You have to be the most Italian stereotype possible. And it's not just Italy. This was in all the other restaurants as well. It just, I don't know, something about that just rubs me the wrong way. They're making it like a circus act. Like, hey, look at these circus freaks. They're not from America. Look where they're from. Listen to how they talk. Some weird shit. It's not like offensive or anything, I just think it's fucking weird. But yeah, by far the worst part about Epcot's food is the food itself. It's just terrible. It's awful, awful, awful food. I don't know, maybe I've just gotten unlucky for the last 2 years in the numerous times I've been, but I find that hard to believe that it'd be that bad every single time in all those different regions. But again, Food and Wine Festival is probably about the only thing worthwhile at Epcot besides Spaceship Earth anyway, so if you're going when it's not Food and Wine Festival time, you're wasting your time anyway. But anyway, that's it. See ya. What's up, everybody? It's Critical. And 3 days ago, my urethra was swabbed. This video I want to serve as a PSA for any man that might be faced with the option of doing a urethral swab. So for those of you who don't know, a urethral swab is an STD check, and since I'm a hypochondriac, anytime that I'm given an option of checking for something, I'll always do it no matter what. In this case, I was 100% sure I didn't have anything, but just being the way I am, I always do the check. It really just doesn't matter what they're testing for. They could tell me they're testing for radioactive alien cum on my skin, and I would say, yep, you know, sign me up, I need to get checked for that. I think it's about that time of the year. So he told me what the test consists of, and I really wasn't that worried about it. I thought he'd come back with maybe a little gizmo or a trinket that I'll put in the tip of my pee-pee hole and take it out, and that'd be the end of the story. That'd be all she wrote. So I say yes to it, and then he walks back in the room with a fucking pike from the Middle Ages. This thing was fucking massive, and it had a little cotton ball in the end, but it may as well have just been barbed wire. But I really wasn't that concerned. I didn't think this man would be able to fit the entire behemoth down my dick hole. I mean, if he did, it'd be coming right out of my anus. So I was still okay, I wasn't that worried, and then he said it wasn't going to hurt, so I was even more comfortable. I knew he wasn't going to shove the whole thing in there and start tickling my lungs or something, so I was okay. So he gently took my flaccid cock in the palm of his hand, and with one swift motion, as if he was hammering a nail into a piece of wood, shoves the entire gadget down my dick hole, and everything stood still. For a brief moment, the world stopped spinning. There was no war, there was no pain, there was no sorrow. Everything froze, and then I was filled with immense pain and agony. It was just so painful, my body reacted in strange ways. I had like a fucking vision like That's So Raven. It was just a really weird experience that I'm having a hard time describing. And then he started twirling this medieval torture device 4 or 5 times clockwise. It was a tornado of agony and just anguish down there in my penis. And then it resonated throughout my whole body. For a second I thought my arm had fallen off. It was just absolutely absurd. And then he yanked it out, not even gently, just vroom, just yanked that shit right out like he was starting a lawnmower. I thought he was gonna pull a fucking baby from my urethra. And then this man had the audacity to say, "See, wasn't that bad, huh?" As I feel like my heart had just been tugged out of my one-eyed snake. And I just didn't know what to say. I said, yeah. That's all. All I could utter was a yeah, because I didn't want to make myself seem weak or like less of a man in front of this guy. So what started as a normal checkup turned into an excruciating experience that mimicked something you'd see in a horror movie from the 1940s. I've gone through some pretty tough injuries, broken bones, but this one took the cake and fucked it too. And it wasn't just an ephemeral pain or some type of fleeting moment. It persisted for 2 days until yesterday. Every time I urinated, it felt like I had just shoved my womb broom into a wood chipper. And I was just huffing down Tylenol, and I even bought some urinary tract pain relief stuff. And they definitely helped a little bit, but what it also did was change the color of my urine to an orange with a tinge of green. So every time I pissed, it looked like Shrek had just fucked an orange until it exploded. Basically, every time I used the bathroom and peed, the toilet ended up looking like a Jackson Pollock piece. It was fucking surreal. And I still, like, I'm better today. It's been 3 days since then, so it's definitely a lot better. But I still bear those scars because every time I piss now, I'm just worried, like, will my dick have a PTSD flashback here? So really the point of me telling you this unpleasant story about how my dick's been feeling like there's been broken glass shoved in it is you don't need to do a urethral swab if you want to get checked for STDs. You can do a urinalysis, which I didn't know. So do that. Never do a urethral swab under any circumstances. I don't know how the fuck the doctor can think it doesn't hurt unless he's been training his cock hole for 20 years, gradually building up the size of things he can stick down there from a Q-tip to a fucking soup ladle. But don't fall for that propaganda, because getting your urethra swab feels like your wiener gets fucked by a cactus. Just do a urinalysis. I wish I had just done that. But yeah, that's besides the point. Don't do a urethral swab. So yeah, that's the message here. See ya. Last year I made a video detailing the horrors of urethral swab and how painful they are. Today I upped the ante with a cystoscopy. Now if the urethral swab was a fingering of the urethra, the cystoscopy was a fisting, nay, an entire arm. The arm of a 7'5" basketball player with a 10-foot wingspan going down my urethra. Now, why I got the cystoscopy is because I've been having recurrent penile problems and they thought it was necessary. I also thought it was necessary. Luckily, everything turned out normal. And I just would like to talk about the experience here, the urethral swab 2.0. Since I talked about urethral swabs, I thought it was only fair that I'd go the whole 9 yards here and talk about the next iteration of the urethral swab, the next evolution. If the urethral swab was Windows XP, this is Windows 10. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So over the last year, I've kind of become a urethral virtuoso. I know pretty much everything about urethras, what can go in, what can't. I'm kind of a urethral sommelier, if you will, in terms of adventures in the urethra. Now this one was by far my most incredible escapade in the urethral realm so far. Now, before I begin, I know some people actually put things in their urethra for pleasure. It's called sounding. I've looked into it and I can't believe my eyes. I don't know how these creatures can exist. But that's neither here nor there. Let's go ahead and start. So, I started by lying down. They pulled out my wiener and they injected a numbing agent into it. And I felt every fucking second of it. It fucking hurt. It felt like my virginity was being injected back into me. It was like a Kamehameha wave of broken glass going through my urethra. And my poor penis ate all of it. Just drank the whole fucking thing bottoms up. The next step was the doctor came in and showed me the flexible scope. And it was intimidating to say the least. It looks like something you'd be strangled with in a Hitman game. And that was going down my urethra. It was massive. It was absolutely fucking massive. They had a nice big flat screen monitor set up, some nice home theater viewing, so that way you can get your urethral and bladder spectating pleasure in, and I was welcome to watch on the screen, which of course I did. I wasn't going to miss this opportunity to see what's going on under the hood down there. So he starts inserting the scope in there, and my cock's gobbling it up like Pac-Man chasing a high score, and I'm watching firsthand because I had front row seats and I was going to pass up on these tickets here. After it gets inserted, I turn my attention to the Jumbotron there to check it out on the screen. And man, that was surreal. That was just downright perturbing, really. It looked like the Death Stranding trailer. I half expected to see a baby in there sucking its thumb. Instead of going into the mouth of Norman Reedus, it went into the mouth of my Norman Petus. It was quite the thrill ride, but it was, you know, a little gross too, you know, seeing all that in there. But it was interesting, very interesting. You know, I could feel every movement in there. When he finally got into the bladder, I could feel him moving the camera around, and it really felt like he was playing the crane game inside of me. You know, it was like quite the wild ride. He'd be turning around, and I was like, oh, fuck, now he's playing Gran Turismo in there. And as surprising as this may be to some of you, it did not feel good at all. And the lube they were using was running down onto my nutsack, and I thought I was peeing all over everyone, and I thought I was some type of fucking middle school science project with the volcano and the vinegar, and it was just leaking all over the place. Thought I was peeing everywhere. So then I was embarrassed, but I was still watching the screen because I wasn't that embarrassed. I wanted to see everything going on in there. And then in one swift motion, he pulls it all out like he had just hooked a fish on the line, and then that was the end of that. Hurt real good. But I will say the urethral swab, 10 times worse. A lot worse. The urethral swab is still the king of pain in terms of urethra stuff, but I thought it was at least worth detailing the next step of a urethral swab. Now, there is a rigid scope for Cisco's. That's a whole new ball game. That's playing Cisco's on hard mode right there. That is, from what I understand, like trying to insert a large oak tree through a crazy straw. There's a lot worse things that can happen with the rigid scope, and it's apparently a lot worse, and it makes a lot more sense that it would hurt worse because, you know, it's a fucking, you know, it's a hunk of steel basically going into your urethra. At least the flexible scope was flexible. But yeah, so between the urethral swab and the urethral swab 2.0, the OG urethral swab was far more painful, but it was worth at least detailing this experience just for the sake of, you know, keeping the urethral adventures, you know, getting them out there, telling the urethral tales that you can tell your children before bedtime, so that way they too fear the urethral swabbing boogeyman and such, as well they should. So yeah, this was my latest escapade in the urethral adventures, and yeah, I should also mention post-op Cisco how it feels. It feels like I'm just constantly leaking lava. It burns and my undergarments are wet, so I'm definitely leaking, that's for sure. And it doesn't feel good. It feels like I've got some hot charcoal bricks down there. It's like I'm smuggling drugs for the drug cartel, except the drugs are nothing but hot fucking mulch in there. So that's how it feels now. Hopefully it'll go away soon. And yeah, you know, that's it. So yeah. What's up everybody, it's Critical. This is less of a story and more of a what I learned today. So I live alone in an apartment complex. And since I live alone, I like to take full advantage of this freedom. So I like to sing loud. I like to talk to myself in weird voices. Just really capitalize on being alone. I like to helicopter dick my penis around and just really get out there. Well, not get out there. In fact, quite the opposite. Stay in here and just do all these things that really wouldn't be appropriate in the company of a roommate or someone else. And I've talked about this before. I like to take popular songs and change the words around a little bit to incorporate the word wiener into the songs. For example, Drake's One Dance. I need a one wiener. Got a wiener in my hands. Stuff like that. And I was doing that today with Shaggy's It Wasn't Me hit song in the early 2000s. And I wasn't really changing any of the words around. I was just belting it out, really flexing those pipes, letting it howl. To be a true player, gotta know how to play. If she stay a night, convince her say a day. Never admit to a word when she say. And if she make a claim, you tell her, baby, no way. Stuff like that. And I was doing that going into the closet. And as I was doing this, I heard the girls above me. I heard one of them say to another girl in the room, "God damn it, he's doing it again." And immediately it made me stop singing, and it just made me stop and think, how much have they heard from me? And I started to reflect on everything. Then I decided, let's just test this out. Let's see how much they can truly hear from me. So I started waiting for them to have a conversation of their own, because sometimes I could hear them when they're being particularly loud. So I was just waiting for this to present itself, and it did. And then I went into the closet, and I just started talking at a pretty normal volume. I wasn't really projecting myself. I wasn't shouting. I was just talking normally, like how I am right now. And I did this as they were having their conversation. They stopped the second I started talking, which means they could hear me, and I interrupted them. That means they could hear pretty much everything that I'm saying. They can hear me right now, actually. That's the impression I got from that. So I decided, let's have a little fun with this. So I ululated a little bit, I'll admit. That probably threw them for a loop. But still, it made me really think about all this. That means they can hear me when I'm making videos and shit like that, which means they've heard me say things like, cum blasted lobster loads and shit like that. That just sounds weird out of context. Did you hear me, ladies? Cum blasted lobster load. And you see, now I know I have this tool at my disposal that I can at any point in time say something that will make them up there question what the fuck is going on down here. And it also makes me a little embarrassed, because now when I'm singing these songs and I'm just belting out these boner jams, I have to wonder what they think of what I'm doing right now. And I'm really not the kind of person that likes to be disruptive or anything like that, so it makes me want to take a step back and just evaluate how loud I'm being, or if they can hear me. So it's, it's just, I don't know. Just thought it was worth sharing, and maybe to even serve as a lesson to all of you out there that you may not see anyone around, but there may be someone that can hear you or see what you're doing right now. So think twice before you break out that trombone and start playing that shit, because trombone doesn't sound good under any circumstances, so you probably shouldn't play that to begin with. But I don't know, just thought it was something worth sharing. That's it. See ya. What's up, everybody? It's Critical. This week I've been flooded with an unusual volume of emails pertaining to something I talked about in the past, and usually my emails consist of websites like Habbo Hotel telling me that my son has signed up for an account. I don't have a son. Daily Betty Crocker updates because some sick fuck out there signed me up for a Betty Crocker newsletter, but god damn it if some of those aren't some surprising meals from Betty Crocker, I'll give her that much. So I was a bit shocked this week when I looked past all of the strange newsletters and questions like if my ass was a dog, what would its name be and what breed, to see that I was getting questions about something I talked about in minimal detail a while back. So I figured I'd dive a bit deeper into this tale to give closure to those people that are asking for it. So it would have been about 2 years ago now, maybe a little more than 2 years ago. The story begins as all good tales do. The previous night I was out drinking heavily, and I woke up the next morning with a pretty bad hangover. And as one does when they're faced with a rough hangover and regret from spotty memories from the previous night where you're claiming you're Alexei Vanderwolf, famed bear wrestler from Russia, you get out of bed and you start masturbating to help get over the hangover. I don't understand why it works, but it does. It helps get over the hangover. So I began cleaning the clarinet, and I was really in the zone. I threw on my favorite lesbian porn film. It's a threesome called Menage a Trois. It's on Pornhub if any of you would like to watch it. I believe it's probably the best hangover cure out there right now. And I was really just enjoying it, and I wasn't even considering it a masturbatory task. It was just me, this beautiful video I was watching, and my cock in my hand. Also, as a side note, I like to watch the porn on my phone because you can double tap and zoom in, so you can kind of be your own cameraman, and I like that aspect, because sometimes the camera angles aren't great, so I like the double tap feature. It's not really pertinent to the story at all, but I just thought it's worth throwing in there. And as by the time the video started winding down, and it's a 30+ minute video, and this was an entire 30 minutes of me going at it pretty hard, I was beating my dick like it owed me money, and eventually my dick deployed its cream, and my mission was complete. I ejaculated, in other words, or if I want to be more hip with lingo, I made cum. So I paused the video, and I closed my eyes and thanked Jesus for what I had just watched on my screen. And then I turned off my phone, and I went to clean up my cock, and my neck was stiff because I was holding it at eye level, and I guess I just hadn't moved very much. I was like a fucking statue just looking at this thing. You probably could have mistaken me for a wax figure, except for the rapid hand movement on my penis. And I very slowly looked down to begin the cleanup process, and I noticed my dick was extremely red. and it was also beginning to swell because my dick did not have this type of girth. It looked like my dick had been replaced with a head of cauliflower. The skin surrounding the pecker had inflated so much so, it was like someone was trying to make a fucking balloon animal out of it. I immediately was able to recognize that something had gone awry in this masturbatory process. I decided I didn't want to go get it seen right away because that's kind of an embarrassing thing to tell a doctor. Hey, look, I beat my meat so hard that now it looks like I've hurt myself. What do I do? So I decided to wait it out. I gave it like an hour to see if the swelling or the redness would go down, but it just continued to get worse. By the time I did go get it checked out, it looked like a fucking bowling ball down there. That's not really a good comparison though, because it wasn't like a fucking bowling ball. It didn't turn into a giant ball or anything. It still had like a penis shape, but since it was flaccid, there was more girth than length to it, and it was super swollen. It looked like you could have sucked helium out of it. But anyway, I went to a walk-in clinic because I wanted to get seen right away. And if any of you have been following me for a long time, you know that I'm very much a hypochondriac. That's not an exaggeration. I am genuinely a hypochondriac. So I was freaking out about this. I was worried they're going to have to cut my dick off or something like that. Now, when I did get into the waiting room at the walk-in clinic and the nurse was asking me why I'm there and all this such, I wasn't embarrassed. I told them, because there's no reason to be embarrassed. It's important to have shit like that checked out. And the nurse left, and I was already 2 steps ahead of the doctor. I knew they were going to want to see my penis, so I already had my pants around my ankles, basically. I didn't know if I was going to be seen by a male or female, and it didn't matter to me. If it was a female, I definitely wasn't going to be embarrassed, maybe even a little bit proud, because it looked like I was packing heat down there. Albeit probably not the color or shape she'd be used to because it was extremely red and inflamed, and it looked like a fucking UFO, or a soup dish turned over. Eventually the doctor comes in, he examines my wiener, and he immediately asks what happened, and I'm honest with him. I said, look doc, I had a hangover and I gave my chicken a hard choking this morning to try and get over it. And he said, well, it definitely doesn't look good, it looks like it's been injured. I mean, it definitely did look like that. I didn't need a doctor to tell me that. It looked like I'd been hit by a fucking sledgehammer. And he says if it continues to swell and it starts blocking urine, there'll have to be some surgery done on it because that's very dangerous, obviously. So I start freaking out. I'm already kissing my dick goodbye. I'm debating just walking down the wall in the office there and giving myself a blowjob just for one last ooh-rah to send my cock off in style. But he gives me these pills to help with inflammation, and obviously I start taking the pills to try and help with this problem. It was supposed to be taken every 6 hours, and I swear to God, not one fucking millisecond went over 6 hours before I was popping that next one. I wanted to get this problem rectified, so that way I could continue to e-rectify this wood down here. And it did help. It took about 3 or 4 days, and the swelling started to gradually go down, and I was still able to pee-pee. And yeah, it had a happy ending, luckily. But let this be a lesson to all masturbators out there. You know who you are, all 7 billion of you. Be careful when you're masturbating down there. It's a very sensitive area. If you're not paying attention, you might just fuck up your dick or vagina. I don't know if that's possible. Maybe if you just rub your clitoris too hard, you can injure it and it can swell up and look like a head of broccoli like my dick did. But yeah, there's the story. That's it.